Okay. So, I just wanted to do a quick talk on social media. This is something that I've been writing and putting a great deal of thought into for quite a long time. I've never really known where to upload this or write it or post it. So I just figured, well, let's have a go on Twitch. Twitch is cozy. So, assuming we're up and running, let's get going. I think it's really important to evaluate the role that social media plays in your life. I was really addicted to Twitter when it first began, so I've seen what it does to my friends, and I've seen what it does to me when it's not used decisively, when it's not used selectively. Now, I did use it to promote my work, but it also became a really cancerous part of my life because it rewarded me for obsessing over my own image. You know, I would dress up my vanity in all sorts of ways. I was addicted to the admiration of people who I didn't admire. Over the past year, maybe year and a half, I've been making a real effort to use social media strictly as a tool. I take it out to share my work, then I put it away. Now, I think a part of my obsession with social media was due to my own personal flaws. The other part was due to a system that exploits people's egos. It's kind of like a chicken farm that pumps us all full of hormones. It gets us addicted to the dopamine rush of earning this kind of pseudo-social currency. It draws us into the illusion of being loved and worshipped. And it does all of this so that it can sell our information and so that it can make us more malleable, easier to influence. If you're lonely or confused or unsure about your values, then peer pressure can become pretty powerful. I would actually imagine that most media corporations are very aware of this. I mean, the service is free, therefore we are the currency, or the cattle, if you like. And what's scary is that you're not giving them your money, you're giving them your mind. And in return, we're given likes, retweets, upvotes, and thumbs up. So in column A, it rewards us for being creative and productive, which is fantastic. But in column B, it rewards us for being judgmental and hostile and vindictive and arrogant and tribalistic. And I think that's where people get anxious and depressed. Zcar in the comments, how are you doing? I was really immersed in the whole social media world when I was younger. And, you know, I would dip from both columns all the time. I would get really, really down because it meant I had this kind of love-hate relationship with thousands of people I've never actually met, but who had the power to influence how other people think of me. Jastuk, how you doing? And so much of social media is about that. You know, so much of it is about image and pretense. It encourages us to control other people and their perceptions when all you can control is yourself when it really comes down to it. It encourages us to cherry pick the best things about ourselves and our lives, the whole highlight reel phenomenon. So we construct this kind of, like this slideshow, all the best bits. When in reality, I think it's hardship that builds your character. It's through flaws and failures that we truly grow as people. One of the end results of the highlight reel culture is that we compare ourselves to one another relentlessly. Who's the most perfect? Who's the least flawed? How many people worship you versus how many people worship me? My opinions have more points than yours, therefore my horse is higher. And getting internet points really doesn't mean anything because A, it depends on which tribe is giving them to you, and B, they don't add any real value to your life. But I think the ego loves the social media environment. Ego, at least to my understanding, is the worldly representation of who and what you think you are. So it's no surprise to me that platforms like Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, Facebook can bring out the absolute worst in people, and so often do. I mean, where else could your ego be more assertive and defensive? It's kind of comparable to road rage because you're protected by your car. You're pretty much anonymous. So you're more likely to be hostile. Honeybee, how you doing? If you let your ego off the leash in a battleground where everything is stripped of important context and reduced to a soundbite, and there are no real confrontations or consequences, then I think your ego is much more likely to run wild. You're much more likely to be irrational and impulsive. Andy, how are you? So it reminds me of, Jean. Do you remember Jean in X-Men? When she's turning into the Phoenix. And right before she rips Charles Xavier apart with her mind, her rage, her vengeance, her malice, Charles says to her, "Don't let it control you." But she does. She literally pulverizes the guy because ego is a bitch and because power corrupts. And this is my big problem with social media. It turns everybody into Phoenix. It tempts us to abandon control over ourselves and then pampers us when we do, rewards us. It rewards us with attitudes. It rewards attitudes and behaviors that I don't think a healthy, functional society should reward. And when you combine effortless power with the need for a sense of belonging, I think a platform like Twitter is the perfect breeding ground for cults, religions, and mobs. It engorges us to seek admiration from people we don't admire. It tempts us to blur the line between friends and followers. It trains our brains to crave validation, which I think is a behavior we should learn to grow out of as children. There has to come a point when you stop tugging at your mother's dress and you become a healthy individual. It's so awesome and empowering to think for yourself, to learn and fail and grow for yourself, to take responsibility for your flaws and for your demons and your problems. Because when you do that, they actually become yours, and that's when you can do something about them. But I think social media rewards us for doing more or less the opposite when we don't use it wisely. We've got Lemon in the comments. How you doing? Nabi joins us. How you doing, Nabi? Elatine. Lemon says, Instagram drained me because I kept comparing myself. It's hell. Learned not to care now. Yeah. Yeah, it takes a hold of you. And you do relentlessly compare yourself to other people, which I think is kind of depressing. I think you should use social media as nothing more than a tool for promoting your work. Don't get personal with people with whom you aren't on personal terms. And when you do communicate with somebody, always remember that you have the power to make or break a person's day. Just because you're speaking with an avatar, it doesn't mean you shouldn't check in with yourself. You know, am I coming from a good place? Will my words bring pain or discomfort to the person I'm sending them to? Don't let the whole social media machine make you impulsive or irrational, because it can and it will if you don't stop and think. Lemonade says, we're worth way more than just some numbers. Social media makes us so dependent on it. Yeah, well said. Cigar. Is validation and attention the same? I want attention, but it's okay if I don't get it. I would say that attention and validation can sort of be the other thing in disguise. Like, you know. Yeah, I'd say they go hand in hand. Attention. They're probably not exactly the same thing, but I think they very often play like an ulterior motive. And I've had that experience a lot. You know, this topic was never really hinted at by my schools or my teachers when I was growing up. And I think it should have been, because the grip of the internet that we're in is getting tighter and tighter every day. We're not allowing ourselves to think and to process information truly when we're thumbing through a Twitter feed. We're not evaluating our lives, our goals, or our priorities when we're searching for that next hit of dopamine. And I think it has us drugged. I think social media is a drug. I think it's addictive by design. It's poison for your mind. And the fact it's all free is even more concerning to me. Like, we seem to have forgotten that when something is free, it's actually a time to be cautious and suspicious. Because everything in life costs something. But we seem to be forgetting that. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that if social media is free, well, that makes you the product. You know, your mind, your information, it's all being analyzed and manipulated and sold. And if you don't curate your mental diet, if you don't curate what goes into your mind, then you become the machine. You cease to think for yourself. And you cease to develop self-esteem, self-reliance. You know, you become the system and the thing that it's manufacturing. You actually become like Agent Smith in The Matrix. You know, his clones assimilate you. You get assimilated by the mob. And what do you think are the values of Agent Smith? What does he represent? Well, to me, at least, it's clear he doesn't value autonomy or free will. It's clear he wants to assimilate you so that he can be guaranteed of your tolerance, adherence, and conformity. Power corrupts. You see, there it is again. There it is again. Agent Smith wants ultimate power and control. He despises everything that makes us human. And, you know, social media is increasingly governed by algorithms. Most people know that. So it's kind of creepy. You know, The Matrix was a really profound film. I mean, that film is going to echo for decades to come. It's so relevant. I mean, okay, our bodies aren't patched into the Matrix by a race of machines, at least not to our knowledge, but our minds certainly are. You know, we're mentally hospitalized by corporations, by Silicon Valley, Hollywood, you know, the news media. And look, I mean, this is nothing new. We've had media and moguls and profiteers since long before the internet. But you see, now it has us all roped into doing their bidding. You know, it's turning us into a hive mind. Like never before has it consumed us this effectively. Never before has it been such a huge part of our lives. Begging for our undivided attention 24/7. It's kind of like having a slot machine in your pocket. Except it's not taking your money, it's taking your mind, your autonomy. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is, are you using the system or is the system using you? That's the question. Yeah. And that's my little chat. That's my little talk. Yeah. Social media. Yeah, that's everything I want to say. Andy McFry says, I really hate social media. Instagram is weird. I actually like Instagram. I don't mind Instagram so much. It's a little more positive. People don't seem to be giving each other the electric chair on Instagram quite as often. I think it's because there's not really an upvote, downvote system. And it's really just about the content. It's not really a forum. So there's not as much room for road rage on Instagram, I don't think. Jastic says, I can't wait till they start putting Elon Musk's Neuralink chips in our head to harvest more data. Yeah, I'm sure it's coming. Every Redditor would be down to buy that chip, says Lemon. I think, yeah, Reddit is kind of like Twitter for slightly older people. It's worse because you can actually downvote people. You so often see people clamoring for those points. Why did you thumb me down? Oh my God. The special people of the internet. Sigai says, thanks for the talk, yeah. I really want to post stuff on Instagram so that I can look back at my life. Yeah. But does that have to be a public thing? It's like, what are you looking for when you want to publish your life? When you want to live publicly, that you're looking for something. It's a question I've asked myself many, many times. Elatine says, I had to leave social media before they changed the terms of service in December. I just could not consent. Convenient for a person to become detached when the social media is so easily accessible. Well, it's anything but convenient. It's arduous. It's arduous. I don't think you need social media to prosper as a creator, but it certainly helps a hell of a lot. So you have to use it as a tool and not, like you don't use it as an outlet or an inlet. You just put stuff on there that you've made, and then you close it. Put the tool away when you're done. Cigar. I feel I've waited for that feature. What feature is that? What do I think about 4chan? God, I haven't seen 4chan since I was like 16. My God. Yeah, that's a talk for another vid, another stream. Lemon says, on one side, people complain about not getting enough likes. But on the other side, they freak out when likes are getting removed. Yeah. Yeah, that is weird. You don't know what you got till it's gone. But anyway, I just thought I would leave that here. I don't know how long Twitch leaves videos on channels. I was thinking about doing this on my YouTube thing, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not really Pogo related. Yeah, it's not really. So I thought, nah, I'll put it somewhere that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah, don't use it as an outlet or an inlet, yeah. I used to. That's a habit you got to break. My God. I'd have Twitter uninstalled, convinced I'm not going to use it again. And then I'm at a waterfall somewhere taking photos and it's like, let me just reinstall that app real quick. I wonder what people are saying. Let me just, hang on, just wait. That shit grabs you. Haven't had that now for a year. I really don't care anymore. I find myself more often than not reaching for creative exercises, productivity as an escape, as an outlet, as a sort of affirmation of my being. Not so much what people are saying on Twitter. You know, you don't need admiration from people you don't admire. Jastic says they keep videos on Twitch for 14 days. I never had Twitter installed, says Lemon. It would be a mistake to have it installed. Yeah, it's like if you don't want to get addicted to heroin, don't keep it nearby. That's kind of what it is. Honeybee, there's too many platforms to keep up with. I've given up on social media a long time ago. Yeah, it's part of the aging process. I think Twitter is like the worst place to practice self-development. My God. Or any internet platform. You just shouldn't get personal with people you're not actually on personal terms with. If you need attention, if you need some affection, if you need advice, well, you know, turn to your friends, man. Turn to your friends. Because a follower isn't a friend. Let's not get it twisted. People on Reddit are not your friends. They will dump you at the drop of a hat if it means raking in that currency. Andy says, Instagram made me a bit self-absorbed. Seeing your own highlights is surreal, brings a whole new meaning to the idea of being your own biggest fan. You're lying about how your life is. Yeah, it's the highlight reel. Nobody's life is a highlight reel. Sigai says, I need more time to think about the dilemma of sharing your life, but not wanting validation from strangers. Yeah, that's a strange one. Because if you really don't care what people think, then why are you appealing to them? Why are you making yourself available to them? That's one to wrestle with. It's a that's a tough nut to crack, because if you're creating something as like a musician or a painter or a sculptor, well, you probably want to share what you've made, I would imagine. I would say 9 in 10 artists extract some joy and satisfaction from sharing their work. So I know Kenneth Williams once, he was on some interview show, and he said, you know, artists create because they need the attention, they need the affirmation, the validation. And maybe there's some truth in that. Because you certainly should create things because you enjoy the process. You're not fixed on the outcome. But then the time does come when you're really proud of what you've made and it's finished. And now you think, wow, here's activity for my channel. Here's, yeah. You know, it's like, for me, it's not like, I don't even really think about, oh, how many likes am I going to get? It's more just like, okay, I've worked my ass off on this thing for a month. I'm damn well going to post it to the web pages where people follow my work and support me. Like, why the hell wouldn't I do that? But I think where I've drawn the line over the past year is I don't go looking anymore at the results. I post it and then I'm done. I don't go look at it again. Maybe next week I'll set aside an hour to reply to people and return their kindness, you know, especially with emails. If you take the time to send me an email, I will eventually get back to you. I will. I really will. That's a big deal. Social media, you know, it's not as much of an effort. Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. Just going through comments here. Oh, Bro says, do you think we create to induce joy within ourselves and amongst others? That's a good question. I always liken it to birds tweeting. I know we're talking about Twitter here. Tweeting is a pretty terrible pun. But why do birds tweet? You know, because that's what they do, right? Why do you make music? Why do you make music? Well, because it's what you do. It's what you do. Elatine says, creativity is meant to be shared. Feedback or performance is necessary on some level. I think the difference is in the seeking of feedback versus adoration. Yeah. And I would add to that admiration from people you don't admire. Yeah, feedback. Maybe it comes down to the difference between a dependent person and an independent person. Maybe the difference lies in there somewhere. Or an interdependent person. You know, if you have an interdependence with your supporters, the feedback you receive, that's really healthy. If you have a dependent relationship with the metrics, the social media activity that your work receives, that, God forbid, you receive as a person, that's different. Andy says, I recently learned about parasocial relationships and how the definition of it is changing on Twitch. Twitch streamers aren't your friends. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sigai says, you answered my email some years ago. Oh, good. I don't recognize the name. If artists never shared with the larger world, we would be starved of so many beautiful things, says Elatine. Yeah, it's well put. Yeah, it's interesting. I just got reminded of Twitter super follows, says Jastic. You get to see exclusive tweets by paying. God, really? God, who cares? Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn? You know? Who gives a shit? That's the thing. It's like you could be on Twitter going through shit that people are saying who've never met you and probably never will. Or you could be making something really cool and getting immersed in your craft. You know what I mean? Or just go out and take some photos or something. Why are you thumbing through Twitter, Facebook? Reddit for me, like if I want a real opinion on something, like if I'm looking at how do I do this in a piece of software, or what sort of keyboard should I be looking for, or what sort of mouse, I don't want to read a commissioned blog post, which is usually the first thing that comes up on Google. I want to read what someone actually says, like a real person. So usually when I'm searching for information on something that I'm researching, I'll put Reddit on the end of my search string, because I want people, I want opinions, I don't want pieces, commissioned information. You don't know what you're reading. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call that a stream. I might go through some more archive tracks in future. I might play some more Satisfactory. Yeah. I've been up since 2 a.m. It's now 10 a.m. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got up at 2 and I was like, you know what? I've got energy. I've got motivation. To hell with it. I'm getting out of bed. I think when you feel energy and motivation, you got to use that shit. You know. Don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to bed. Every time I do that, I wake up several hours later and I feel like crap. And it's like, oh, damn, I could have used that rush. I could have used that surge. It's gone. No matter what time it is, no matter how much sleep you've got, when you wake up and feel good and driven, get the hell out of bed. Sleep later. You know. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have control over when I feel motivated or not. I do not have control of. I can influence it with my diet and maybe my physical exercise, but we're talking pretty small influences there. Nap time, yeah. Yeah, stay safe, Andy. You too. Oh, bro says, if I can't fall asleep in 30 minutes, then I get up. At that point, your body is ready to go. That's an interesting point, yeah. Yeah, insomnia is a bitch, man. That'll get you. I'm pretty sure I sleep better in the day. I'm pretty certain. I don't know what it is. I heard if you force yourself to sleep, it just makes things worse. Yeah, that's probably true. Because you're thinking about sleeping. I tend to fall asleep the easiest when I'm not trying. Anyway, thanks Lemon, thanks Andy, thanks Sigai, thanks Bro, and Elatine. Really appreciate the comments, guys. Really appreciate the support. Jastic as well. Who else have we got here? I think that's it. Honeybee, who may have left us some time ago. Smithy. That's not Agent Smith, is it? I hope I didn't offend him. Yeah. Fisty. Yep, good to have you as well. Zcar, of course, yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a really good night, or really good evening, or really good day. I'm going to try and survive the rest of mine. Yeah. Cool.